everyone. It is our favorite time of the week when we get to answer your questions. We got some good ones this week. Saagar, you want to kick us off here?
Yes, here we go. All right, I was wondering, from Lebanese American, I was wondering how you feel about the chances of Jamie Harrison running to replace Graham and Charles Booker running to replace McConnell as Democrats for Senate seats in North Carolina and Kentucky. I'm going to throw it over to our resident Kentucky expert, Krystal Ball.
Okay.
What do you think?
Let me just wear my bias on my sleeve, which is I know Charles Booker quite well. I like him. He's a personal friend, great guy. And I will say, though, I mean, he's running a very inspiring campaign. He's one of the only African Americans in the Kentucky state legislature, young guy, working class background, and he is truly running this campaign to unite working class people across the state, regardless of their class. And obviously that's the type of campaign that I really believe in and I think is vital. But I also think it takes more than one election cycle to get there, right? It's been a long time of national Democrats in particular ignoring the working class and having contempt, frankly, for a lot of the people that work in Kentucky. So it will take a long time to recover from that. It doesn't happen in one cycle. Mitch McConnell is, on one hand, he's sort of vulnerable. He's very unpopular in the state. People don't like him, but he's also very powerful. He built the Republican Party in the state of Kentucky, got all the money that he wants. He's able to he brought a bunch of, cash, spend money, goodies back to the state, et cetera, et cetera. He'll be very hard to beat. And Charles also has a primary against several other candidates. One in particular, the party-backed Amy McGrath is a terrible candidate, but has tons and tons of money.
Lots of money.
So it's a tough road. I'd say Jamie Harrison, a very different type of candidate, running more of a traditional campaign there in South Carolina with more of the party support and backing. But, I'll defer to you on this one. I think Lindsey Graham's very hard to beat.
Lindsey Graham is incredibly hard to beat. The only time I actually think he could have been beat was back in 2010 in that Tea Party time when he was actually contra the Tea Party wave. I was involved at the time in some of that stuff, and he was one of the #1 targets for people in the Tea Party. But because he's latched himself so heavily to President Trump, he's actually got kind of the trust of the base back. People forget that for a long time they thought, Gang of Eight, Lindsey, and all this other stuff, he was seen as a real traitor. But a lot of his staunch support of Trump on the judicial front has made it so that a lot of the base still trusts him and looks at somebody who could be a staunch defender. And at the same time, as I understand it, is that some of the more liberal elements would say, well, Graham is going to run anyway. So in the primaries and some of these other things, they lend their institutional support to Lindsey Graham because they'd rather have him than some hard right Tea Party person.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably where we're going to see things shake out again.
Yeah, I mean, look, you never know look, we may be going to war with Iran. That could change everything, and it could end up being a landslide year, but I think it's tough. For both Kentucky and South Carolina, I think it's very tough. All right, next question from Philosopher John. Hi, guys. Love the show. Thanks, John.
We love you, John.
Which outcome in 2020 would be most detrimental to the long-term fate of Bernie's agenda? 1, a Biden nomination, or 2, another Trump term?
What do you think, Krystal?
That is so hard to say. I don't know how to answer this one because, look, let me just be clear. Whoever the Democratic nominee is, I'm going to vote for them. I can't stand this president. I think we need to do everything we can to get him out of office. However, I've said on this show before, there's a real danger that if you elect a neoliberal who doesn't address any of the fundamental issues that brought us Trump in the first place, Trump could be a warm-up act. We could end up with someone so much more effective, ideological, competent, and willing to grab the power that was really available to Trump, but he's just so sort of lazy and incompetent that he hasn't been able to execute on that and isn't ideological in the way that another person could be. So I think there's a real danger in a Joe Biden presidency, but you can't calculate things 5 steps down the road. You have to deal with the choice that's in front of you. Would I prefer a Joe Biden over a Donald Trump presidency? Absolutely.
Yeah, I actually think it would be a Biden nomination because Bernie would have to do the same thing he did in 2016, bow to Hillary Clinton, has to bow to Joe Biden. It implicitly just gives a lot of wear and tear to the energy of his movement, and essentially it would get co-opted within the Biden case of, electability and Trump, which undermines his fundamental systemic critique of everything that's going on. So I actually do think it'd be much more of a Biden thing than it would be Trump.
The thing that really scared me there for a while was the idea that Elizabeth Warren would win the nomination and then lose to Trump, because the narrative from the media would all be, oh, she was too progressive, when that's really wouldn't be the problem
It'd be
with
a
her.
cultural thing.
I don't think she's going to be the nominee, so we're not going to face that issue. All right, Saagar, last question.
Number 3 from Gear Fox. I'm still confused on Bloomberg's endgame. Does he want to steal votes from Bernie and Warren, keep the Democrats a right-wing corporate party, or win the presidency? Maybe I'm missing something. You know what? He wants to win the presidency, and I didn't really believe this, Gear Fox, until I read a fascinating profile on how he won the mayor of New York City. So the way he won that mayoral race is he was the long shot, he was bored of business, and he started making this national security kind of centrist argument before 9/11. So he had no chance. Then 9/11 happened, and all of a sudden he became mayor, and it really imbued him with the sense of it could work out. Look, he's a finance guy, right? You take a massive gamble. You have the money, so why not?
I mean, it's meaningless to him.
It's meaningless for him to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. There's always one shot, right? He's essentially playing a convention game in which somehow there's a broker convention and then using money and all of his other strategic institutional support that he could win the nomination. And who the hell knows? Maybe he could win the presidency. I don't think any of that is going to happen.
No.
But he's put himself into a place where it could happen. Look, 9/11 was a black swan event, and that's why Michael Bloomberg is Michael Bloomberg. So he's counting on another one.
I mean, I don't think his theory of the case, honestly, is as insane as some of the other candidates.
Right.
What he's banking on is essentially a Biden collapse, and that establishment Democrats and elites
need somewhere to go.
And he's mayor of a big city, et cetera, et cetera. He's got endless money to be able to spend to communicate. So I think that's what he's banking on. But I mean, ultimately, Gear Fox, you're right. What is his goal? To keep it a corporate right-wing type of Democratic Party. They all see Bernie Sanders in particular, used to see Elizabeth Warren, now really see Bernie Sanders as this deep existential threat, as they should. So yeah, that's the game that he's playing here. And like I said, it's not as crazy as some of the other cases. If Biden were to collapse, it's not insane to think that elites could coalesce around a Michael Bloomberg.
If you have $54 billion, why not go for it, right?
Yeah, so, I guess so. All right, guys, always appreciate you all watching. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.